Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood, this is SoFloRadio.com.
Good evening and welcome to Rick's Show on the Radio, October 23rd. And we are here with my friends and vampires, Ricardo Bocanegra, Dominic Daniel, plays Dracula, co-producer, writer of Theater of Vampires, and stand-in for Nosferatu. Let's listen to a little bit of Black Bats and we'll come back and talk about Theater of Vampires.
Von mir aus, ich liebe dich. Ich bin für immer dein und ich bin für immer allein. There's a light in my heaven, reaching out to touch my skin. I must avoid the piercing radius, shelter in my coffin from the day. Darkness whispers my darkness kisses me away. Ich liebe.
All right, we're back.
Von mir
And we're
aus.
back.
And we're back, and I'm talking with my friends, and we have a lot to talk about. Our production of Theater of Vampires, The Trial of Lestat, which is coming up this Saturday night. Is that correct, sirs?
Saturday, yes. And 3 days? 2 days?
Mhm.
It's-
Saturday night starting at 7. There'll be some your evenings in vibes will be on the patio.
Some libations.
Some libations.
Yes, we got some cool things going on in the patio back out there.
And then at 8 o'clock, the actual production.
Right, Theater of Vampires.
And then shortly following that, the Black Bats.
The Black Bats and a special Cinemusique presentation, which actually means, the band plays with some really cool-looking visuals. Kind of a repeat of our show when we first met, which was, what was that, in August, right?
That must have been in August.
Right,
A
we met in
match made
August.
heaven.
It was, because I got to tell you, it was in August, shortly thereafter we met and did that show together, that you gave me a call and said, "Hey, Rick, what do you think about the possibility of us putting a play on in October? Because I've always had this idea for the Theater of Vampires. You think it's possible to do that within this short amount of time?" And, not knowing any better, we said, yes, we can do that.
We also said no, but we're going to do it anyway. And then you said, not only we're going to do it, we're going to do a transmedia event. We're going to add several layers of icing on the cake.
Yes.
And then I said, you're crazy, let's do it.
Yes. But I'll tell you what, man, I've learned lately that just being brave, stepping out of your comfort zone and just going for it works out sometimes. And I'll tell you what, the last rehearsal we did, it's all coming together.
It's the not knowing. That's the best part of it. It's not knowing what is going to happen and what'll come of it. I mean, like you said, rehearsal a couple of days ago was fantastic. If that is there on Saturday or higher, it'll be even better.
Yes, yes. And I just want to say right now that I really appreciate our working relationship with everybody here. But since we met and we started doing this little production here, it's been a great ride. It's a little scary, but it seems that everything is coming together at the last minute, and we're very excited to have this production on Saturday night. And it's going to be something that I promise you that you will not see another or cooler Halloween event in the season here.
No, and also the first of many.
I hope so. I do believe so. We have some surprises in for the audience as well, which I'm not going to get into too much, but I think we're going to have somebody sitting in the VIP section there that will kind of surprise people.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know who I'm talking about? You don't know? Good.
Say no,
it'll
I
be
don't know.
it'll be a surprise to you too, then I guess.
It's a surprise to me. I had no idea Billy Idol was coming to this show.
Well, somebody a little less alive than that, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Good.
it should be fun though.
Dead men walking.
Yeah. So about our production here, I'd really like to talk about all the characters and the story, not giving away too much, of course.
Right.
But as far as the way the whole story comes together, I really think that's a really great story in itself, which was basically you called me up and said, hey, let's have some pizza and talk about this idea.
Right.
And it was very vague as far as like, well, can we put a play together about, theater of vampires? And we thought, well, okay, well, first we have to write a story,
Right.
and we have to find a cast. But you had some ideas on the characters, right? Tell me a little bit about the characters that you wanted to bring into this show here.
Well, obviously the name itself, Theater of Vampires, is a little spin-off from the Anne Rice books, but I kind of wanted to do our version of it, if you remember. And I was thinking it's Theater of Vampires. So I thought, what if we had all the vampires there? What if we collectively had pretty famous vampires throughout history, throughout cinema, vampires that were fairly well known? Once we established that, we tried to figure out, well, what would the storyline be? Why would they be there? Why would
Right.
collectively these vampires from different ages?
Right. And that's the magical part of what we would
Right.
do. And I want you to tell that because it involves your wife.
Yeah. Well, we were, being someone that's a huge fan my whole life of vampires, I obviously was in the Anne Rice books, and so when we decided to cast all of the vampires, including Lestat and Louis and Akasha, etc., the missus woke up one morning and said, I was thinking you should call it The Trial of Lestat. And it all fell together then because we were thinking, wow, that's why they would all be there, is because somebody was on trial and they all had to, kind of bear witness, if you will.
Right. So it came to her in a dream, which is kind of magical in itself there. And so, and after that was the missing ingredient for me for the story.
And then the great Rick with pen and paper, with quill, he did his thing amazingly. And we sat in my living room for several weekends looking over the script and doing a lot of rewrites and talking about ideas. And every weekend he brought in information that was just amazing. I was thinking, wow, this guy can really write. I mean, and all the ideas that I had, he put into this amazing script and wrote this amazing production that I couldn't have been more thrilled with.
Wow.
And then from there we went with casting.
Yes.
How long before? I'm sorry to interrupt. But how long did you guys, when you were writing before we went into casting and production? I mean, you guys 2 months prior.
No.
No, my friend. We were already. I called you
Right.
the day that I was talking to him about this,
Okay.
and that was in August. And I said, "Hey, what if we do this? Would you be interested?"
All right.
So we didn't have a story or
So you
anything.
just had the idea.
So I was roping you into this thing without even
Yeah.
having a script or story, even a storyline, which
And
was
then people were cast at different times during the
Levels,
whole
yeah.
process.
right. Yeah.
As characters developed, we originally had Abraham Van Helsing, and
Mm-hmm.
that was dropped. And we originally had other things in line, but we changed it, massaged it.
Right.
And I think that
I think
it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing about the storyline and the script was, I as a screenwriter myself, I know how long it takes myself to do things, and I was a little bit, I had a little bit of trepidation on whether I was going to have enough time to come up with a script. Like my friend Vivian said, I said, I'm going to have give myself 10 days to write this script. And she says, well, and I think I can do it. She goes, yeah, but is it going to be a good script? And, I thought, well, I'm sure I could throw something together, but yeah, it's got to be a good story. It's got to be a good script. It's got to have a lot of good dialogue in it, and the story has to make sense.
I think you pulled it off. I mean, it has every element. If you ask me, the protagonist, the antagonist, there's a twist in the end. It's exciting. It's visually beautiful.
It's got its touch of humor in there, and it's tragic in its way. It's got a lot. It's got its little Shakespearean kind of thing to it. You know how I feel about that. So
you've always been a man of tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition. And it is for this tradition.
Yes. Now let's talk about our cast. Now that was a fun process because a lot of the ideas that we had were just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Alana Villain from Queen Dementia would be Vampira? Right? That was your idea.
Well, it was my idea because I'm a huge fan of Queen Dementia, and Alana is such a beautiful, beautiful lady, and she always kind of reminded me of Vampira, who I always thought was beautiful. And so I thought to myself instantly, wow, that is just a perfect fit. She just has that look and that elegance and that grace and that little bit of attitude. You know?
Yeah, a little bit of sass. And I got to tell you, Alana Villain, who, as we know, is an awesome singer, great songwriter, great performer. I don't think she has any acting experience except for maybe in high school or something like that. Did she tell us that
she
had?
said she did something in high school there.
Right.
From my point of view, coming from an actor's point of view, is watching the process, and it after a year and a half of not doing anything and coming back to something like this was great. And to watch the process of non-actors, and they don't realize how good they really are because it just happens, and it's beautiful to watch, that whole acting process. And she and her husband Joseph, and the rest of the cast, but just what they bring is something so natural, and it conveys through the characters that they're doing.
Yeah, they were totally. Hey, I'm going to ask George Rodriguez here if he could bring up a picture of Alana there. Oh, and there she is right there.
All right, beat you to it.
Isn't she beautiful?
Lovely.
Yes, she took that role and she owned it.
Yeah, she made it her own.
It's so cool to see how, her in the beginning, she was just kind of feeling through, and should I do this? Should I do that? And now the last rehearsal,
it comes.
I was getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about her performance and what she brings to the table here.
I think not only did she take that role and just do amazing things with it, but how she interacts with the other characters in the cast is amazing, especially with Dracula. There's a chemistry there, and Alana brings that.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is also really cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's also it's a comfort level too between the actors, and like I told you one time, there has to be an attraction between the characters you're playing, and that helps. And she's so giving, and it's so comfortable. I mean, I clicked with her when we went and saw her perform, and just talking with her, and then when you said she was going to be Vampira, it's like I had known her for a long time, so it made it so easy, and she's just very open to trying different things, and that makes it easier for me because it's give and take.
Yes.
What I give you, you'll give back. If you give me nothing, I give you nothing.
Right.
That's to me what acting is about.
Yes, we had a discussion about that. It was one of the big challenges was that, we have, a couple of really professional actors working with a bunch of people that we think would look really cool in the roles, which
could backfire at times.
Yes, it could. But
well, in theory, I mean, we in order to make it several aspects of transmedia, I had an idea to attempt to incorporate musicians and artists as well. I know that you and I discussed it. We didn't know whether it would completely work, but we had hopes that creativity would be there and kind of bleed through in the production as well. And I'm really happy to say that I feel as though it did, and it has.
Oh, yes. I'm going to be so happy when this thing is done and we look at each other and we go, we did that.
We did that.
Yes.
Big
Now,
freedom.
let's talk about Alana's husband, Joseph Villain, who's a guitar player in Queen Dementia, and also never acted. And we had a character going, okay, we need Louis, of course, played by Brad Pitt in the movie, so we had big shoes to fill there. We needed
and we searched for a little while. A couple things came up, and then I remember you had contacted me and said, well, what do you think of Joseph, Alana's husband? And I thought, well, we there has to be a certain type here. It has to be someone who looks the part, that's very fair skin. It has to be someone with long hair. It has to be someone that's kind of quiet. And I said, yeah, you know what? That would be perfect.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah, serious, quiet,
Yeah.
nice guy. And I'll tell you, he's coming along too. I mean, it was
Yeah, very much
in
so.
the beginning, he was like, oh, I wasn't quite sure, but he got enough encouragement from everybody else. And wow, he's owning it right now too, man.
And he even went so far as to shave his facial hair.
Yeah.
Which I like him better.
Yeah.
It gives him a Brian
I
May
don't
look.
think Alana likes it better, but
Oh, well.
Well, maybe she could call in and tell us. This and the invitation is open to any of our vampires or anybody for that matter to give us a call at the radio station here, and the number is 954-990-0036 if you're available and you want to talk about your role, because we are talking about you. You want to come in and offer any insights as to what it took to put your role together, you give us a call and we'll put you right on the air. Yeah.
all right.
So let's see. We got some really awesome. We're going to save Dracula for last, okay?
Because you're going to save the best for last. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Last 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. So anyway, we got Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
We had two Nosferatus.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Yes.
Stand-in Nosferatu.
A stand-in Nosferatu, which was the
And Nosferatu was one of the characters where we had said, we have to cast this. It has to be someone that's kind of creepy and weird. And I thought, my friend Joseph is so creepy and weird. He's perfect for this.
Yes.
And he even kind of has that Nosferatu feel about him.
He does.
When I contacted him, he was on board within seconds.
Yeah. As I understand it, he was kind of contacted us first after you put out some
Oh,
blurbs
yes.
about like theater vampires, and all of a sudden it's like, hey,
Right.
I want to be involved with this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
He wanted to be involved on the back end, not so much acting in the performance.
Right.
But when we discussed Nosferatu, I thought, he should be in on the front end because he's just that creepy.
Yes, he is. He
But he
brings
makes it his own
In a great
too.
way.
He makes it his own. I mean, there's the Nosferatu that people know, but then watching what Josepher does, brings his own little thing too, which is kind of cool.
certainly does. He's
But they all do, as a matter of all the actors do.
Yeah.
Their own little interpretation.
Yeah. Now the thing about, and I don't know, should I give this little transmedia thing away about the silent film character? I guess, why not? Yeah. That's another challenging thing, and we'll discuss this with Dominic here. Being a transmedia event means that there's video going on at the same time. And
Several elements. Yeah.
Right. And there's just stills and movies and different things that the actors have to work with.
Music.
And one of the
timing.
most important things was our Nosferatu character, which, of course, everybody knows is a silent film character.
Right.
So we had the idea that, hey, maybe when Nosferatu has to talk, all his dialogue is going to be up on the screen, which is an interesting
Ingenious.
thing.
It's very ingenious.
In silent movie format, including the old-timey piano. And we were really leery during several rehearsals. And every time it would come up, of course, Rick would say the Nosferatu line,
Right.
sorry, and all this stuff. And I was thinking, that's great, but how is this really going to work when it happens?
Exactly. And we kind of got a scare because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now there's silence.
And it was dead silence.
Yeah.
However, when it got put together and I sent you the music, it all, I thought it just works great.
Yeah, I think it'll add. But of course, it's a challenging thing because, Nosferatu has to gesticulate in accordance to what he's saying, and he doesn't really see what's going on in the background there when it switches. So, it's kind of challenging. We kind of figured out a way for him to do that. So,
Yeah.
it's just another thing that we threw on all our non-actor friends. Hey, now you can do
It's
this.
all done with mirrors. So to speak.
Yes,
Smoke and
you made it
mirrors.
away. Smoke and mirrors.
Literally.
Literally. Yes, it was a lot of fun doing the rehearsals because a lot of times Mr. Ringleader could not make the show, and then we had a stand-in Nosferatu, which was Mr. Ricardo himself.
Which was a
and,
treat. That was
that was a treat. When
I
he
loved
did
it.
that.
It was a treat for me because out of all the vampires, and I love and own every vampire piece of paraphernalia out there. Nosferatu, I've always had a place in my heart for. He's just so sad, forlorn, and decrepit, and rat-like, and
Yeah, he is.
and I've always loved that about him.
Yes, because like let's face it, the current view of vampires are romantic and beautiful, and of course they have their so I can turn into a big bat monster, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, but poor Nosferatu never looked good.
No,
He's the odd bat out.
yeah, he.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of took this special bus to school when he was a vampire. So,
Yeah. I hear he was quite the ladies' man in the 70s.
Inside joke.
Yeah, you'll see that. So, yes, so our Nosferatu character, definitely, I mean, you can tell already that there's, we kind of rely on him for the humorous aspects of the story.
And the visual, I think visually he's amazing.
He is, yes.
As you could see by the photographs we took,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
incredible.
You got some Nosferatu pictures there? We
He
could
was
see
already ahead of you.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
popping them up
Nosferatu.
all the time.
Yeah, you are. I'm not even
There he
noticing
is.
there.
I'm looking at him from here. He's
Oh,
popping
okay.
up. Each
Thanks,
character
George.
we
Thanks
speak
for
about.
for
George is the
thinking for
best.
me.
Great
He is.
job,
He's
George.
awesome.
Oh shucks.
Okay, so let's talk about the
Let's take a call.
yeah. Oh, we got a call. Let's see. Can you tell me who's calling
Somebody's
here? Or
ordering
let's just
pizza.
take
No,
it
but
right off
they
the
can.
phone. Go ahead there. Who's
Hello.
Who are we speaking with?
This is Elizabeth Bathory.
Great. Perfect timing.
Oh,
Hi, Elizabeth.
We were just getting ready to talk about your character and what we've put you through the ringer here to do. Let's talk a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Elizabeth Bathory's character, and we'll talk to Lori here about what she had to bring to that role.
Okay. Well, Lori has been a friend of mine. I've actually been on the road with her to Pittsburgh, if you remember that, Lori.
Yes, I sure do. I will never forget that trip.
Lori is an artist and amazing with henna, and just an amazing creative person and personality. We decided to cast for the legendary Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory. Mm-hmm. The person that first popped into my mind was Lori. And anyone who's looking right now on the internet can see that she has these very European features. She has these piercing eyes and this amazing nose. I'm a nose guy. I don't know why. I've always been a nose. I love noses. And she has this beautiful, elegant, like European nose and jawline and structure, old world. And so I thought, that is so Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah.
And plus, she's really funny and a little kooky. I mean that in a wonderful way, by the way. And there's the
and
laugh.
that
you see.
laugh. Yes, the laugh is unique among laughs. That's for
Lori
sure.
has the most challenging character
Yeah.
role in the play. I mean,
does.
her levels of what she has to do in there is amazing.
Yeah.
Lori, why don't
she's
you
been
tell
doing
us-
a great job.
Yeah, tell
Yeah.
us what we making you do as Elizabeth Bathory
Yeah,
here.
tell
What-
us a little bit how difficult it was to get into this type of role.
Well, I do have to say it was very easy because I already have 4 personalities. No, I'm just I'm just kidding. Actually, when Rico said, "Oh, you're going to be perfect for this part," I was like, "Okay." And then when I read it, I said, "I don't know if I should be flattered or insulted," but I mean that in a good way. I'm very excited about everything. Elizabeth, she is she's a tough cookie. You know, she did a lot of stuff in her mortal life that was very cruel and unusual. She started off very nice. She grew very mean. And then she spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. So she has kind of gone off her rocker. You know, and Dracula felt some mercy on her. He was interested in this mortal woman that was into bloodlust. So that's how they have grown their connection. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, being that she has multiple personalities, she really loves or she really hates. She's very passionate, and she has a relationship with Dracula, and she had a brief affair with Lestat. It's very difficult for her to separate herself from a lover, and it's also, but she can't live with somebody that's not treating her well. She's a noble. She is of royal blood, and when somebody is not treating her well, this does not go well.
So yes,
in her head.
that's our character. But what about you, Lori? portraying that character. Tell us, your vast theatrical experience and how you brought that into there. And I know we put a lot on you, my dear.
Well, it's hard to say. I don't want to deliver too much, but about the story, there were certain parts that I had read about her that really touched my heart in the script, and it was kind of about loss and having to make a decision about somebody that she may have had feelings for, and I just kind of identified with that in real life. Not on the level. I mean, I can't condemn somebody to death, unfortunately. But no, I'm just kidding.
So are you saying, Laura, you lean more towards the batshit crazy rather than condemning to death?
Well, I just, I think that when I read that, I was like, I want to take this character on, and I'm going to give her my all. Everything that I have to give her, I'm going to give her. It's her part is very physically challenging because she is very she's just very angry, or she just flips over to, oh my gosh, no, I really do care. And I really do go through a chemical change in my body, a sensation as that's happening. And I really have to zone out when I do it. That's been interesting because I joke and say what I'm like, but the truth is I'm not a really mean person. But to tap into that side and be able to deliver it angrily, I really have to work myself up.
Well, I think
really
you do a really good,
into this crazy nervous frenzy.
A great job at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that type of method acting.
Yeah. So you're coming to grips now with your character there. I know we put a lot on you. I mean, Dominic Daniel here is a professional actor, and he knows what it takes to actually pull off a split personality here, and you're doing a great job at it. Was that a big challenge for you to do that? How long of a process was it before you said, yes, now I'm comfortable with this character?
It took a few weeks. We started off with the lighter stuff. And I think it was there's a little scene where she's having a moment about her good times with Lestat, and she is a little erotic. And I think the first time doing that in front of people, I'm kind of a very private person when it comes to that part of my life, and to kind of put that out there was that was definitely a challenge for me. But I think it's very perfect for her also because she really wouldn't care. And then the other part where she really has to struggle with her personality, that definitely took longer to develop. I spent a lot of time around my house yelling. I have animals. Everybody was in shock. Nobody knew what was going on. My son was like, "Why are you yelling at me?" Kind of yelling, and then really, then when I really started kind of getting her voice on that end, playing with her two personalities, and that's when I really started to notice that it's very physical. She really, you can't go to that level of intensity and then go to that next level of softness without a chemical reaction in your body. And it took a few weeks. I really have had to play with it at home, and I still do, because it's always a little different. When you have a confrontation with somebody, you could have the same argument about the same thing, with the same person, but it's always going to be delivered differently. And, she's a little, I have to argue with myself, and I'm not bouncing that off of another person.
Well,
so
you brought a lot.
It's definitely a challenge, but I like it.
Good. Yes. Well, we appreciate what you bring here to this, and this was another one of those great decisions on Ricardo's part to say, hey, let's try this person. She looks really cool. And it worked out. And, we are just blown away. And you look beautiful up there, hon. We can't wait to see you in your Victorian garb and your beautiful red hair and your
beautiful red eyes.
And
so make sure everybody comes out Saturday night to see the incredibly sultry Elizabeth Bathory.
Yes.
At Cinema Paradiso. Lori, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Lori.
It was my pleasure. I will see all you guys soon, and thank you for having me on the show.
All righty.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you for letting us have
Bye,
you.
my darling counts.
Yeah, that was great. She had a lot to bite off there when we gave her that
A lot.
role there, huh?
A
Yeah,
lot.
but she did amazing things with it. She's just, fell into the character and just kept on more and more and more.
That's a challenging character.
yeah.
I mean, that is really, I mean, that's something that they give as a final at the Actors Studio or Juilliard to, multiple personalities to do. And it's hard. I mean, I myself, and I've been doing it for a while, I wouldn't take the challenge. I just don't like doing characters like that just because. It's not an avenue I'd want to go to, and it must wreak havoc because you're up and down.
Yeah, it's an interesting point she brings up about which I never considered because I said, "Hey, just do this, just be like this,
it's
be
not
real
like
angry
that.
and then be real reverent
Yeah,
and
no.
and then
It's more. It's draining. I mean, because we get to spend some time together when she was doing my makeup, and it is a draining thing. I'm like it's fun. It's a great character once you lock in and you find what makes that person tick. But it's work. That's a character you work on. It's a workhorse.
Just another one of those magical things about this production here with the cast of people who've come together and really are enthused about this production. It just has a lot of momentum just because of the enthusiasm from the people involved already.
Correct. Yes. Was that the pause?
That was a pause, and yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about another character, Rick.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get to, how about you decided that we would bring in the Lost Boys here, right? Throw them into the mix.
Yeah, we had a few ideas for that as well, and actually we went through quite a few lineups to try to lock some people down. Obviously, we started with the first, which would be someone that kind of fit the image. A few actors for the lead role of David, and then at one point we were just down to the wire, and the great Rick had decided, let's bring in several individuals, put the word out, and have them all audition at once. And that was a great idea because we found our lead, which is David.
On that night, yep, and he did a great job. As a matter of fact, all the young guys that are the Lost Boys kind of came from one troupe, actually, where I believe the director of their troupe got word about this thing and said, "You guys go there."
And I think it was the Underground's Coffee House.
Yeah, that's what
acting.
it was. Yeah.
So they came out, and I was pleasantly shocked and surprised because I believe that the lead for David, played by
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, I didn't have his name written down. Really.
played by Michael,
was hoping to.
is incredible because he really gets into the character, and I know as an actor, I can't speak. I mean, Dominic as an actor, you could probably speak to that more.
Yeah.
Craig. I'm sorry.
Craig. Yeah, that's his name. Craig Million. Yeah.
Craig
but,
Million.
I refer to him as David.
Great young guy.
Or Michael.
I do
Michael.
enjoy. I mean,
Sorry,
watching
Craig.
him
I
work.
love you, buddy.
He is. He keeps me on my toes, and I believe I told him that because I don't know what he's going to do from scene. He does it differently all the time. He comes from one angle or another angle. He brings a different energy, or he'll do something slightly different. I love that. For me, it keeps me on my toes, and it makes it fresh. And I'm like, okay, let me see how I can change it up. If he does it all the way at the same time every time, okay, that's great. But after a while, it becomes dull. And this guy brings an energy.
Yeah.
That it reminds me when I was young, just a bull out of the chute. And he is. I like working with someone like that because it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He had a lot of enthusiasm for the role. As soon as I cast him as, the David character, he was like, yeah. And he just brought, he goes, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do this? What if I wear that? And which is, I like that in an actor when they're that enthused about it.
Because I mean, you throw everything in the pot, and then you see what you'll keep and then what works, and it's like a soup melange of stuff, but then you get the best out of that.
Now the thing about the story here is Dracula, who is very regal and very old school for our purposes, is definitely at odds with the character that Craig plays, David, who is just like a guy that just got out of prison, like a street punk.
Thug.
And
Are you
very
one of
dangerous.
these types of people that go and see the movie and tell everyone what happened? Spoiler alert.
That's
Not that
Rick.
big of a spoiler, is it?
I'm just kidding. With it.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I was thinking about our approach here and talking about our production and, how much do we want to tell people? How much do we
No, I
wanna
think it's good
keep?
because no matter what we say, no matter how we convey that information about the performance, what everyone is going to see Saturday night, you can't really put it into words because of the actors, because of the transmedia, the music, what is going to be on the screen, the costuming, everything involved. You really can't convey. The only way is for you to be sitting in that audience and seeing what's going to happen Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that's been done. I mean, we had worked on something, remember, that Collide, where there was
Right.
the video. And it was like a kind of like, I guess for me, an introduction to doing this, but this is like at a whole other level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to work that way because it's like a story within a story. It's there and then there, it's there. And that's, I like it. I mean, it's different. Hopefully we'll do more of it like that. They should do more theaters in that kind of fashion because it's interesting. You got visual and you got live action and it's a treat, you know, and the people that are going to come out are going to see a really great show. They're going in for a real treat.
Yeah, and the thing is that I want to stress that it really only came together within less than 2 months, really, and we're we've done quite a bit with that amount of time.
Yeah, there were times we thought we were crazy.
Yeah, and there were times where we're like making commitments to do things when we don't even have like the characters or a story, and like, are we nuts here? But. No, actually, it's really come together, and I'm just ready for it on Saturday night. I just can't wait for it to happen.
And some of the actors have just been, these diamonds that we weren't even aware of. We casted a friend of mine for the part of Renfield. His name is Willie Lasante.
Yes.
Now, Willie showed up, and he was very excited about it because he's always wanted to get into acting, but had never acted. And one of his questions to me was,
No, he has. He has.
Oh, he
acted.
has?
Yeah, no, he's
Oh,
been
okay, I'm
yearning
sorry.
to get back into the
Oh,
theater,
back
as a matter of
into
fact.
it.
And
I'm
he's
sorry.
made the most of such
He
a little
has.
part. I mean,
Yeah.
I watch him, and he is just phenomenal. He stays in character through and through. And
yeah, he never leaves that character.
no,
Own
no.
that
He makes,
role.
he makes it with the little dialogue. He just makes the most of it, and he steals the show. I watch him,
He's
and I'm
a
like,
very
does.
prominent person within the performance, and that's exciting.
Yeah, because it's funny because when I first wrote the script, it was a very small role in the very beginning that Renfield would come out and have a little dialogue and be off and be gone. And I didn't even put a lot of thought into, really, what would this character be like? And then, of course, when you get some creatives in there and they kind of help you fill in the gaps. And Dominic had a nice conversation with him, and you guys discussed things. And the next time he tried it, it's like, wait a second, I didn't write that. And I go, that's awesome, man. That's
no, a pleasure to
Yeah.
work with. I mean, he is just a pleasure, and I'm going to try to get him into Infinite Abyss and have Aaron speak with him because I love what he brings. I mean, that is to me an actor in the true sense. Watching him work, I mean, I watch him when he comes, and it's a joy.
110%.
Yeah, no, yeah.
110%.
It's a joy to watch him work because you can see he loves it and he's passionate about it. And like I said, he makes the most out of a small character and makes him mighty.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really does. And you're right about him stealing the show. I mean, he's just it's just an awesome thing to see.
Well, he's very committed, so I think that is. And, he's just one of several. I mean, the last piece of the puzzle that we had was to cast for the legendary Akasha, queen of all vampires.
Yes, that's right.
And we
there's-
tossed around a few ideas and things, but, there had to be a right look, and there had to be a right many things. And some people weren't working out, said they
Right.
weren't, then they didn't.
Right, you know.
And then tell us about Crystal, because you...
Yes, well, you know, I was recommended Crystal Lopez for the role by my friend David Perez, and who actually we were trying to get him as play the part of David, but he couldn't make that. But he graciously, actually, he turned us on to somebody else who could not do it as well.
There she is.
But then he recommended Crystal Lopez, and she actually did a great job because Crystal's a little firecracker.
Yeah,
You
she
know,
Mm-hmm.
she's not a very tall
It's a
girl.
Power Ranger.
Very kind of demure.
Yeah,
and
when
our
she showed up, I did think that. I thought, wow, she's so tiny. She looks the part to the T.
Yeah.
However, is she really going to be able to pull this off?
Hmm.
Gave her one set of direction about Akasha, and then, boom, within seconds, she was into it. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, I got chills that first night. I was like, wow, that is some really, really cool stuff she's
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah, and again, we're asking her to do a lot too, because not to give too much away about the character in the end there, which I'm not going to do, but let's just say that we've asked her to do more, than your normal actor would do, as far as like, you know, what she's got to do, how she's got to act and portray things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's challenging for everybody. It really is. You know, just to let you know, first, let me go back to the Lost Boys here, because we do have Craig Millian, who plays the David character.
David, the lead,
Right.
which was originally in the movie, played by Kiefer Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
I think David, I think Craig makes a better Lost Boy than Kiefer Sutherland did.
No, he's really a tough guy, man. Yeah,
That's-
yeah. I can't wait till everybody sees
Well,
him.
I like it that we didn't cast to what people would expect,
Right.
because I mean, first it's difficult, but it's nice that you went a different route a little bit, and you know, and it gives freedom to the actors, and you get a different interpretation of
Well,
the
the
character.
only reason for that is you didn't fit into the Bela Lugosi tuck.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Exactly. But that is a good point, though. We did take our characters and we kind of mirrored, especially the Bela Lugosi thing, which we're going to have a lot to talk about your character there, because Dracula, of course, has been portrayed in so many different ways.
from George Hamilton to.
But
Bela
I'm going to first
Lugosi.
tell us about go back to the Lost Boys, because of course the Lost Boys wouldn't be the Lost Boys without a couple of other boys, Lost Boys,
Right.
And so we got 3 other guys that are, they have minor speaking roles, but they were very important as well, because they had to act as one unit. Their contrast between the way that they act and the way, in Dracula's lair with all his regal and properness, and these guys are a bunch of ruffians. So these guys brought these roles in here, and we can't wait to bring Will Broll. He's kind of like the second in command.
That's a big tall guy, right?
Yeah,
Is
the
that-
tall guy. Yeah, yep.
Will's awesome.
Right, and the youngest of our characters, Nathan Rose. He's
Right.
like, what, 16 years
16
old?
years old. With
Yeah.
a great set of hair.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Oh, to be 16
Right,
again.
and then we got Torian DeVoe, which, of course, I don't think he's going to mind us talking about being the token.
See, that's
guy.
also what's great about that, is
Yeah.
that you put an African American in a part of there which wasn't in any other movie, and that's what it's about. you
When
know,
I
to do
when I
that.
met Torian, I thought his look and his style was
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
So much so that night I asked him to read for the lead part.
That's true,
because
yeah.
I thought it would be really, really fascinating
Mm-hmm.
if he, So he did. He tried out. Of course, Craig, he won the big prize, but
Right.
we definitely told Torian that we wanted him to be in the cast as one of the Lost Boys. He just he has this greatness about him,
Great
and it's
vibe.
just amazing individual,
Yes.
and fun to work with.
Yeah, very giving. Very everybody was so amazed. I mean, I'm just so pleased the way everything came together here. Now, of course, our we have Lestat now. We have to get to him too now. And
Do we? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, we
Wasn't
do.
he on last week?
He was. But the one thing about casting Lestat was that
That's our Louis.
Yeah, that's our Louis. Yep, that's Joseph
That's-
Verlaine. I'll show you who There he is.
There he is.
Yes.
Like our wrestling
Yeah.
Lestat.
Yes, Kalen Maleficarum. Now, I thought of him because I had worked with him when I was doing the documentary for the Florida Renaissance Festival. He was one of those characters there, and I remember him as a standout, very exuberant, a great personality, and I had asked him at at one of Ellen Jacoby's meetings down in Miami. There, I said, "Look, we're looking at this project here." I gave him everything. I said, "Look, we don't even have a story or anything like that, but we're looking at you for the role of Lestat." And he said, "Yes." He said that because apparently Lestat is one of his favorite all-time characters, right? Oh, we got another phone call here. Maybe it's who are we speaking with? Who's on the phone here?
It's Lestat.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, listen, Lestat. We're going to give you 5 minutes here, pal. No,
I don't even want to take 5 minutes. You guys are doing great without me, but I did want to call in and show my support and let you know that I am listening to you talk about me, or was.
No, we're actually just getting around to
We
talk
just
about
started
it.
talking about you and your commitment for all those on the internet. I mean, looking on the internet, that's not Lestat's natural color. He actually dyed his hair for this particular production.
That's right. I mean, and it took a lot of dye, too, because this guy's got, like, the blackest of black hair. But you look awesome, man, and, you're doing a great job in the role of Lestat. You bring the kind of energy and commitment to that role that, it's kind of pretty much hands-off on our part, We just said, hey, do it, and...
I agree. I think that you've just been amazing in the role, but there have been a few rehearsals where people couldn't make it, and you've stepped in. And just watching you, I thought to myself, this guy could literally just have a bunch of hats and wigs and put them all on, and that'd be a one-man show.
Yeah.
And be amazing.
Yeah. So
Well, luckily, I don't have to do anything like that. We have an amazing cast.
Yes.
And I am just as honored to be among everyone. As I would hope that others are happy to be around me when I show up at rehearsal. So I feel incredibly lucky to be even a part of this production. And Rick can tell you that I was beside myself when he told me that he'd like me to play the part of Lestat. And that was weeks before he had even written the script. So I've been totally on board for this ever since I heard about it, and totally stoked about it. And I am super excited for Saturday night.
Yes. Thank you so much for calling in, Kalen. We're really looking forward to your performance and everybody's performance on Saturday night, my brother.
And so everybody
Absolutely.
come
I'll
out
see
Saturday
you guys
night and
next
see
year,
the...
I'll see you guys tonight next.
Yeah, we'll see you a little bit here to get that rehearsed just a little bit more.
Just a little more.
All right,
All right,
Kalen.
guys, have a good show.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
All
Bye.
right, and finally we get to our main character here.
Dun, dun.
I know it's the trial of Lestat, but this is the guy that's putting all this together here, Dracula himself. And, I've been wanting to work with Dominic Daniel ever since we met several years ago when you had done the role of Edgar Allan Poe's
A Telltale Heart.
Oh, my
right,
God,
with
that's
John
awesome.
Vanazza.
And it premiered at the Cinema Paradiso.
Right, yeah.
So that's how.
And when I met
that place
him-
has some sort of something.
Yeah, when I first saw him, I go, I got to work with that guy. I mean, good-looking guy, very stately. And when I saw him act in that, I know that this guy can act. This guy, as far as like actors in South Florida, is a standout. He takes his role very seriously. We've had conversations about other roles that I've given you scripts for, and I remember getting calls from Dominic going, "Hey, what do you think if I wear this? Or what do you think if I take this with the character?" And I'm thinking, this is what I look for in an actor, somebody that, doesn't just take the script and wait for rehearsal, somebody that owns the thing and gets with me and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think about that?" So we finally, but the funny thing about it is that we had always mentioned that we like films without a lot of dialogue, and it just so happens that
Got a lot of dialogue.
first project here.
Poor Dominic.
Yeah, he had the lion's share, which of course we have to give to the main guy, and of course a seasoned actor like yourself. So I had no doubts that you wouldn't be able to pull it off here. But tell us, your character is Dracula. It's been done a million times.
Yeah.
You know, how many times, how many different ways has Dracula been portrayed here?
Rico can answer that. one.
436 times.
And you can take
Am I
that
number
to the bank.
6? Am I?
437.
Yeah,
Seven.
if you count right. Yes, so there's been very many incarnations,
Yeah.
and of course now we have our show here where you're Dracula, but now you're, how did you get in the world of Lestat and the Lost Boys? How does that work out?
Well, Dracula is at a point in his life. It's almost like his midlife crisis at 300 years old, and he has shunned himself off from the world. So in a way, what he's doing is I think there's an envy towards seeing Lestat and the new generation of vampires. On they're more hip and they're more open and more visual, and with him, it's more from that old world mentality. And it was great because I like that he has become a solitarian and very much isolated from the rest of the world. And I can relate to that. I mean, I clicked in on that when I'm like, this is great. Okay, I forgot when they describe he's shunned himself off in his castle, and there was something about that spoke to me right there, and I'm like, okay, so now let's see what I find more. And in your writing has always been very good, and I've always told you that. And it makes it so easy for an actor, and for me, I just read the dialogue. The information is there. I don't have to do a lot of work. All I add to it is other colors and little, mannerisms or accents, whatever. That's just to give the character a little bit more texture. Of course, he's been done a lot of times, and the only research that I did do was I wanted to get the right Eastern European voice without sounding cheesy or sounding like the Count from Sesame Street.
Right, yeah. See, that's it.
So I did listen to Bela Lugosi. I went directly to the source. And he doesn't pronounce his W's as V's. It's W's or W's.
Right.
And it made it easy. And then I did watch Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's because I love him. I think he's a phenomenal actor. And just to hear his voice. But after that, the rest, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. See what the other actors bring. I give it back to them. See what input you give me. And then you go from there. And then what other little happy accidents that happen that we don't think of is another route that I will go.
Yeah.
And it's been a challenge. And like I said, it's been a year and a half since I've had a script. And to come back with something like this it's a hell of a treat. And I thank you, Rico, and I thank you, Rick, for that opportunity, because it made me realize how much I love the process of acting, watching these people work, going through the work, and it's work. It's not, everybody wants to be an actor, but nobody wants to put in the work. It's work. And what you put into it is what you're going to get out. You put in nothing, you get nothing. And that was just, and the character's great. I mean, I take him along with me during the days, certain interactions with people. I'm like, the way my mannerisms comes from the play. And I love it. They're not aware, but, I have fun with it.
So you walk around with a WWDD little bracelet. What would Dracula do?
What would Dracula do? Exactly.
And not only bringing just an amazing character to this role, but the help that you give the other performers. You're always there to give insight and to help them along and to give them direction, which I think is so great, because it says a lot about you as a person as well, not standing on a pedestal like I'm a real actor and you're all. No, you're really there to help.
Yeah.
And because it's an entire production and a teamwork, and that in the end result of that is going to be amazing Saturday night.
Yeah. It's not a one-man show. It's like a band, is what it is.
It is kind of like a band, which is unusual because, I mean, almost everybody in this thing is
a musician.
Yeah.
It's like a band. We got each other's back up there. It's not the Dracula show. It's everybody's show, and everybody. And I told you, I want everybody to shine, and and I love working with actors. And these, as much as I've helped them, they've helped me and given me a lot, just to have them go through the process, and they are taking in the advice and try this, and they're more than open to do it. And That's what it's about, and that's, it's such, there's nothing better. I wish everybody can do it, but then, everybody would be doing it, then, it would be too much work for me, but.
When you were first asked to do the role of Dracula, I mean, that's a big role. That's, like you said, it's been done a lot, and it's been done by a variety of people. How did you feel about that? Were you intimidated? Were you excited? Were you...
Excited. Well, knowing... Because we had met already.
Yes.
I'd seen you perform, and there was almost like an instant bond there for some reason. It's like we'd known each other for
completely
ages.
Yeah.
And Rick I've known for a while. So I know what Rick's going to do. It's going to be good. It's going to be entertaining. So I was very excited. And intimidated? No, not until I saw the script and all the dialogue. And then I was like, oh, man. But once, it's a process. You break it down, you get all, and then eventually it all comes back to it. It's like riding a bike.
Well, there's one aspect of it there, which, we actually were rehearsing for a number of weeks without any kind of video presentation at all. And then, finally we get around to shooting the video. And I edited the video, and okay, now let's rehearse with the video. And it's like, whoa, it's a totally different thing. So tell us about that process.
It takes it at a different level. I mean, it really takes it another level because a play is a play. Then you have all that visual and that big screen, and it's just, the colors come to life.
And the timing.
And the timing, yeah. That was not as bad an issue as I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's just with Nosferatu and maybe some dialogue that I have but not as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like, okay, we miss a line, we just jumped the scene, but it wasn't that. Or we jumped what we were seeing, so we're like, oh God. So we have a window of error, or where we can. There's some leeway. It's not like. You got to say it like this because it's but it's great that you're doing that, because it's not been done here, and it's like I said, it's another story to what we're seeing.
And I've yet to see Dominic in full character.
Oh. No, you have not. That's right. You saw the pictures, but you have not
just
seen
the pictures and the video. So Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this to all the ladies out there too. Mm-hmm. Prepare yourselves.
Yes.
Oh boy.
The striking figure.
Yes, there's going to be some devastatingly handsome vampires walking around here. Definitely, we plan on putting on quite a visual experience for you here with we're bringing a bunch of Victorian furniture in to put in our set, some candelabras.
The sets are going to be amazing, and it's at Cinema Paradiso, which I know some people listening may be familiar with, but if you're not, this is a very, very old church that has been converted into a theater. Mm-hmm. So
it's perfect.
It's an opportunity to see something amazing.
Mm-hmm. And if that's not enough, for the $15 it's going to cost at www.theatervampires.com.
Or $20 at the door.
$20 at the door. At the end of our lovely play here, we have a special Cinemusique presentation by none other than the Black Bats, who we're going to listen to here on the way out.
We are, but before we go, I also want to just remind everyone that this is for breast cancer awareness. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. And all proceeds will go to breast cancer awareness. So come out and see us at Cinema Paradiso, Theater of Vampires.
Vampires care.
Yes, they do. Thanks, everybody, and thank you, my friends, for joining me.
Thank you, Rick.
It's always a pleasure. And look forward to seeing you a little later on for rehearsal, of course. Yes. Everybody, Cinema Paradiso, Saturday night.
See ya.
See ya.
SoFloTV.com and SoFloTelevision.com.
Yeah.